We have so many young high schoolers that have recently graduated, and many of them are going on into college. And if your life has been anything like mine, you've probably gone to graduation ceremonies, you've gone to graduation parties. And it really got me thinking, what advice would I want to share with them? If I could reverse time, what advice would I give myself if I was in their shoes? And so there's 6 things that I think that if we implement, they will make a huge difference in the trajectory of your life as you're moving on into this new phase. Number 1, learn self-defense. Learn the mixed martial arts, MMA. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa ala alihi, he was an amazing fighter. He was an amazing warrior alayhi salam. He was an amazing wrestler alayhi salam. He had this skill set to defend himself, to defend his family, and to defend his community. And we need to have that skill set as well. You know, there's a really famous UFC coach. He's a Muslim. His name is Firaz al-Zahabi. And he gives amazing advice. He says that just as we get an algebra level of understanding of mathematics, we should get at the very least an algebra level of understanding when it comes to MMA and self-defense. So what does that mean? Learn how to wrestle, learn how to grapple, do jujitsu, and do boxing and do Muay Thai. So if you're going to join an MMA gym, and if you're going to work out there 4 times, my recommendation is that twice a week you're doing grappling, preferably no-gi, and twice a week, you're either doing Muay Thai or boxing. It will build your self-confidence and it will get you in great shape. Learn the art of MMA. Number 2, memorize 5 ajza of Qur'an. Memorize 5 juz of Qur'an. The book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a healing. The book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is nur. The book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spiritually connects us to everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants the human being to learn to raise themselves in their ability and rank in terms of dealing with this world around us. And so we should all memorize Juz Amma. We should memorize Juz Tabarak. We should memorize Surah Al-Kahf. We should memorize Surah Sajda. We should memorize Surah Dukhan. And if you have 5 ajza, it's an amazing amount of Qur'an that you'll be able to use in your daily prayers. And it gives you the ability to get up at night for your night prayers and recite the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that intimate relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So memorize 5 ajza of Al-Quran Al-Kareem. Number 3, go outdoors, go camping, learn to rough it. We have become so soft. We live in our AC'd homes or apartments, and then we get into our AC'd cars, and then we go to our AC'd coffee shops. And it's really making us weak. We need to learn what it's like to rough it. And when you go camping, you're forced to rough it a bit. You don't have all the amenities that you would have in your home. On top of that, it connects us to the nature that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created. The human being, when we're out in the outdoors, we feel like we're at peace, but just because we've become so used to all the buildings around us and all the pavement, we've become detached from that. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that in His creation are signs for those who think and ponder. But if we're detached from His creation, then how can we think and ponder about it? So look, get a group of friends, find someone at the masjid who knows how to camp, and go camping with them. It will change your life, I promise you. Number 4, learn about the life of the Messenger of God sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa ala alihi. The Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa ala alihi is nur, he's light. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam is the greatest guide. The Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa ala alihi, he went through so many difficulties in life, and we're going to go through our own ups and downs. But if we learn about his life and attach to him, it gives us the ability to deal with all of the difficulties that we're going to deal with. And he, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa ala alihi, he's our guide. So whenever we're in any difficult situation and we're trying to figure out what to do, we always have the ability to turn back and look at the Messenger of God, alayhi salatu wasalam, and he will guide us. Learn the seerah. Read a book of seerah every year of your life. Number 5, be an entrepreneur. Many of us are on a trajectory in which we're most likely going to work for other people. It does not have to be that way. The Prophet ﷺ was an entrepreneur, and the Prophet ﷺ had a skill set. And if we look at the prophets of God, many of them had their own skill sets. Sayyidina Dawood ﷺ knew how to make armor. Sayyidina Isa ﷺ was a carpenter. Our Prophet ﷺ, he was a shepherd ﷺ, but he also had an amazing skill set that he was an entrepreneur. Start a business. You know, when I was young, I started a business. I used to go around the neighborhood and I'd be cutting people's lawns. And then from there, it pushed me into another business in which I sealed driveways. Now, initially, I was terrible at sealing driveways, but I learned as time went on. And I was able to, by Allah's rahmah, make money and start my own business. So each one of us needs to find the skill set that we have and start your own business, and start when you're young. And if you fail, it's okay. I've learned more from my failures than I have from my successes. So don't be afraid to try something, and don't be afraid if it doesn't work out. Number 6, we need to learn how to listen. The Messenger of God, Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi, he listened to everyone. And if you look at some of the people that he listened to, they weren't worth listening to, but because of his amazing humility, he listened to see what they had to say. Now the problem is, when we're young, we think we know it all. And we think that we know exactly where to go and how to get there. But I have to tell you this, with age comes wisdom, as long as that person is aging on a path to Allah and His Messenger ﷺ. Don't take advice from people who are not trying to direct you in a positive spiritual direction. Take advice from people who have your best mental, spiritual, and physical interests at heart. I mean, if I look back at my life, the biggest mistakes that I probably made was not listening to some people who were older than me, who knew better than me, because I thought I knew better. We need to learn to listen, and we need to learn to take advice. It will change our lives. Now, this is the advice that I have for you, and actually this is advice that I continue try to implementing in my own life. And it's not just for high school graduates, it's for anyone who wants to have a positive trajectory in life, but especially for those that are in college and just graduated from high school. Try implementing these 6 pieces of advice, and I promise you, your life will be different.